Welcome to James's World. So yes, welcome to my world. This is going to be one of those kind of rambling bits of all sorts, kind of waffleage videos, to quote Daz. Done a couple of these before, but I think I'm going to put them all, because I think I'm going to keep doing these going forwards, especially with there being less pickups, and there's going to be more sort of waffling about what I've actually been playing. So I think I'll throw all these in like a playlist type section of like my world or James's world or something like that. Anyway, this will be episode 1, even though I've done 2 or 3 before, but called them something else. Anyway, yes, this is James's world. Like I say, I'm still buying stuff, but it's certainly less than I used to, and it's predominantly all stuff for modern consoles, which I've got to say, I'm really enjoying modern consoles. I don't know what it is. You know, I've famously said on this channel loads of times how modern gaming isn't for me, and in many ways it isn't. I've no interest in most 3D games and 90% of AAA titles. That's still the case. But I'd always cast aside what I class as modern, sort of 360 and PS3 onwards. That era in particular was never for me, even though I've grown to appreciate it a little bit in more recent years. You know, and then I've tried obviously a PS4 in the past, which I do. I've always liked the PS4, but it's never really kind of, it's never sort of grabbed me and made me think, wow, this is amazing. Although it was excellent. In no way am I criticising the PS4, it's excellent. So it was only ever Nintendo consoles really I held any connection with modern wise. But then, I don't know, for whatever reason, since I got the PS5, it's been much the same as when I got the 2600 Plus, in the fact that previously when I tried to get on with Atari stuff, I don't know, I never did. And for whatever reason, when I got the Plus, it really struck a chord with me. And now, you know, I think the 2600 is a fantastic console. Loads of awesome games on it. And it's been exactly the same with the PS5. I can't put my finger on why, but for some reason I've clicked with it. And I really, really like it. And I don't know, I've found loads of games that look interesting to me that I never knew existed. And I've bought quite a few in the past few months. More of that to come on pickups videos. But anyway, I didn't plan on saying that really. I will run through what I've been playing, because the beauty of all this sort of picking up much less is I'm now finding I've got the time to actually play stuff, and it's amazing. It's like going back God knows how many years to when I actually played stuff on a regular basis. It's wonderful, and I've been doing this now for 2 or 3, well, maybe a couple of 3 months perhaps, where I can. It's been awkward with the room changes, but now I've done all that, and I think that kind of might have helped as well, because how I've made the room changes, you know, I'm loving the room more than ever, and I don't know, it's probably a combination of everything really. But anyway, on a side note, I previously put out those videos about games in the collection, which very few people watched. So it kind of didn't stop there for me, because after I'd done that, I then decided, or I started to wonder, I wonder how many consoles I've got in the collection. Because somebody in the comments mentioned how many, I think it was PlayStations they'd got. Which then that got me thinking, and you know, one thing leads to another. And I thought, I'd like to know how many consoles I've got in the collection. So I then counted all them. I was going to do a video on that, but seeing as nobody, or you know, there didn't seem much interest in the game collection ones, I didn't think I'd bother. But for those who are interested, I will now include it just briefly in this episode if I can, as quickly as possible. So what I'll do is I'll just run through the entire list of consoles that I've got, and then I'll give you a grand total at the end. So they're kind of in order in terms of sort of age, and they're not in a fantastic order, but you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, we've got 2 Pong consoles, as in TV game type things, playing tennis style Pong games from the 70s. We've got 2 video pack consoles. We've got 1 Intellivision. We've got 1 ColecoVision. We've got 3 2600 consoles. I've just got the 1 original Spectrum, and I've got the 1 Vectrex. I've then got 1 Famicom and 1 Master System. I've got 1 PC Engine, 1 Duo. I've got 4 Mega Drive consoles of varying sorts. I've got 2 Super Nintendos, again of varying sorts, 1 American, 1 Japanese. Now I've got 5 Sega Saturns. Excessive, you might say, but they are all different. We've got a modified PAL one, which is my original off Daz. Big up Daz. We've got a V Saturn, we've got a high Saturn, we've got a white Saturn, we've got a grey Saturn. So, you know, the Saturn's amazing. We've then got 3 PS1s. We've got 2 N64s. We've got 2 Dreamcasts. We've got 5 PS2s. Again, perhaps a bit excessive, but they are kind of all in use, so you know. We've got 1 GameCube, which doesn't work anymore, unfortunately, my original. We've got 3 original Xboxes, again all in use. We've got 3 PS3s, 2 of which are in use, 1's broke. We've got 2 Xbox 360s, both in use. Then we've got 5 Nintendo Wii's. They're not all in use. I'm using the 2 modified ones Stu did me. Big up Tutor. My original is all, you know, nice in the box, so I'm not going to sell that one. I've also got the wife's original, and I've also got a spare. No, that one's in use actually, so I've got 3 in use. Right, we've then got 1 Wii U. We've got 3 PS4s. Don't ask. We've then got 2 Xbox Ones, again both in use. We've just got the 1 PS5. We've got the 1 Evercade VSR. Not VSR. VS, sorry. We've got 1 Switch. We've got 1 Switch 2. We've then got 1 3DO, 1 Atari Jaguar, 1 Neo Geo AES, 1 Neo Geo CD, 1 Mega CD, and 1 32X. That gives me a grand total of 68 sort of home consoles, if you like. We then move on to the handhelds, of which I'm not really a handheld gamer, if I'm honest, as I've said before. We've got 2 sort of Evercade Hyper Pockets, and we've got 1 regular Evercade. I think that might be the VSR, is it? Anyway, it's not the original one, the nicer one. We've then got two 3DS consoles, a Japanese and a like a PAL one. We've got one Game Boy Color. We've got three PSP consoles, and then we've got one of these sort of it's a Mayu Mini. It's like a, you know, an emulation type device. That gives me a grand total of 10 handhelds. And then last of all, we've got the minis, and we've got a PS1 Mini, we've got an A500 Mini, we've got the Spectrum, not strictly a Mini, but it's kind of. Then we've got a C64 Mini, and finally we've got the Atari 400/800 Mini, giving a grand total of 5 of those. So overall, in the collection, to go along with the 2,100 odd games we've got, we have 83 consoles of varying sizes and uses. So now I know. It was kind of nice to know, and I was, you know, I just thought I'd run through it here. Anyway, we'll move on. Again, I'm sure there's plenty of people with loads more than that. I'll just briefly mention now, I'm still going around charity shops and I'm doing alright with the records. I'm still finding some stuff, which is cool. But a couple of weeks ago, I had the most amazing find in a charity shop I've ever had, and probably ever will have. I couldn't believe it, you know. It was just I just turned around and there it was, kind of thing. It's an 80s hi-fi system. I've been after one of these for some time and was hoping, although not really believing, I would ever find one in a charity shop. But I did actually see one a few months ago, and didn't buy it, but because it was just sort of a low rent make. I forget what it was now. It was like either a Goodman's or a, you know, a Seychelles, like Dixon's own brand, or it was something, you know, or like Alba, or, you know, something low rent. And I thought, although I was tempted, and I don't think it was much money, I decided against it. I wouldn't have been happy with it. So I left it, and, you know, I've been looking ever since and never seen one. But then, like I say, a couple of weeks ago I went in this charity shop and I saw another one, and I don't know, I just kind of stared at it for a couple of minutes and just thought, you've got to buy this. It was just, you know, and I was miles from the car, and I thought, I can't carry the, you know, I can't, with the hi-fi and the speakers, how am I getting this to the car? And the car was already full of stuff, and I just thought, somehow I've got to find a way. So anyway, I picked it up and went to the till, and I asked him if I could sort of make relay trips, if you like, and I made multiple trips. I think I made 3 trips. Was it 2 or 3? Might have been 2 actually. Yeah, I think I took the stereo first, and then I went back for the speakers. That was it. And eventually, you know, I managed to get it in the car. You know, it was a bit of a Tetris job. And it was sold as working, I think, the phrase on it. It said, I think it said, record and tape works or something, words to that effect. But, you know, I thought, well, I'm not going to count my chickens just yet. And it was filthy dirty as well. So anyway, I cleaned it up the next day, and it cleaned up quite nicely, I think. I was quite pleased with how it cleaned up. I should have said, actually, it's a Toshiba, this stereo, this sort of MIDI hi-fi system. I'll throw some hopefully I've took some footage. I'll either show a picture or a little bit of video of this hi-fi. The only downside was it didn't come with the original matching speakers, though it did come with some what looked like nice speakers. I think they were late. I think they were 90s speakers, looking at the style of them. No, I can't remember, but again, they were a decent make. They were, I think they were Iowa or Akai, I forget, but that was one of the two. You'll see in the picture anyway. Like I say, they looked off a 90s stereo, but I thought, even though it doesn't match, which is a shame, they might actually be better speakers, because, you know, the stereo kind of sounds as good as the speakers, doesn't it? So I thought it might actually be the fact that it works out better. Anyway, I cleaned it all up, fired it up, and it did seem to work. Both, it was a twin cassette radio record player on the top. Both tapes worked, and the radio worked, and the record player worked as well, but there was something wrong with the sound on the record player. It didn't sound as nice as the cassette did, and the volume was very low. So I got the needle off and sort of messed around with it and put it back on, and it did sound better, but it still wasn't as good as the cassette. So I thought, I've got to try and find a needle. So off I went to AliExpress, looking at loads of different stuff, trying to get something that looked correct on the picture, obviously, because this is like a 40-year-old stereo. I thought, I'm going to struggle to get a part for this. However, I found a couple where I thought looked alright, so I ordered both, because they were cheap, like £5 each or something, for packs of 3 of each or something. Anyway, that couple of weeks went by, and then a few days ago they came. Attempted to change it, wasn't quite the right fit, unfortunately, but luckily the needles came, which I didn't realise at the time. They actually came with like the cartridge bit that connects via the wires to the actual arm on the record player, and I was able to manage and to change the lot. So I put the whole brand new cartridge and needle off AliExpress on this old stereo, and it fit. Amazing. And all of a sudden the sound quality was awesome, and it was just as good as the tape. So thankfully the new needle has cured the problem that it had got, and it is now amazing. All this, I should say, for the grand sum of £20 I paid for the stereo and speakers, plus the £5 or so I paid for the new needle from AliExpress. So overall, it owes me £25, and it looks $1 million. I'm so chuffed with it. It's an amazing find. I'll never have such another good find, I don't think. It's just once in a lifetime, I think. So that was that. And another thing, when I bought it, I thought to myself, I don't know where I can put this. Haven't got any space in the room for it, plus I've already got my sort of new one, but I've managed to find a place in the arcade, and so now it's worked out really rather well, because I've turned that into an office as well. I can play vinyl in either room, so happy days. It's amazing. And then just on the sort of vinyl front, old ankles are aching sitting down here. Unfortunately my original vinyl collection from back when I was a kid in the 80s, it never got thrown away, but I knew my sister-in-law had it years and years ago, you know, when nobody wanted records, and I've been trying to get it back since I've been back into vinyl sort of 6 months ago, and not had much success. However, I have managed to get some back, though some, unfortunately, or quite a substantial amount, is still missing. But it's, regardless of that, it's amazing to have something original that I had back in the 80s and bought brand new in in the vinyl collection. So again, I'm not going to dwell on it, but I will just show you that there's only 4 I've managed to get so far. Anyway, we've got the old classics. We've got now 2. Obviously these are vinyl gatefold double album things. We've got now 3, and we've got now 4. So amazing to have them back. I mean, they're largely full of stuff I'm probably not going to listen to be honest, but it's just nice to have my originals. It's so nice. But that said, of all the ones I knew I'd got, and I would still like to track them down if possible, there were 2 that I was really really keen to get hold of, because they're not cheap to buy replacements for. All the other stuff that hasn't turned up, I can replace fairly easily, although I'd much rather have my originals. However, these 2 are quite expensive to replace, and there aren't that many about to choose from. The one, unfortunately, hasn't turned up, but this one has. And I did put this on Instagram, which seems to have, I don't know, a few people sort of commented on it. So I thought I'd show it here. As you can see, Electro 8, which is on the Street Sounds label. Now, I was my mate up the road got me into this back in the day. And they were, obviously these are numbered. They go from 1 to 14 or something. Plus there's other different ones as well. Now I'm sure, because it shows you the other albums on the back, I'm sure I had this one as well. One of them, I had one of them 2 as well. Unfortunately, I don't know if that'll ever turn up. But it was this one I'd got in my memory that I wanted back. So when this was presented to me the other day, I was just amazing. I mean, look at the cover. It's just, can you get more 1980s than that? Pink, blue and green. I mean, just mega. I didn't really remember any of the tracks on it. I've played it and listened to it yesterday. And I don't remember much of it, to be honest. A couple of the tracks rang bells, but generally speaking, not a lot of it did. There's a lot of water gone under the bridge since I last listened to that. Probably not been played in 40 years. But so amazing to have it back. Just, the memories. Fantastic. And kind of on a similar subject. I can't remember what got me onto this. I think it was after I'd bought the mini disc player that I wanted sort of, just to display in the music area. That then got me thinking about other stuff, I used to have tech-wise when I was a kid. And I was looking for my original Walkman, which, I mean, I'd love one, but for the model I had in nice condition, that can be 200 quid. I am not paying it for a Walkman, as much as it would be nice to have. But that then got me on to the mini pocket TVs, made by Casio generally, and I used to have one of those, and I can remember selling it not a million years ago, maybe 10 years ago, perhaps when I moved here, maybe, I don't know, but it was all mint in the box, and it was perfect, the one I had. And they're completely useless now. They're just shelf ornaments, obviously, because, the signal doesn't exist anymore. So you can't use them. But anyway, I started to look, and they are dirt cheap, thankfully. I'll tell you why this came into my mind. It was Not More Games with Nick. Not More Games with Nick, anyway. Berry. That's the guy from EastEnders. Anyway, Nick. It was Nick's fault, because Nick bought a Sony Watchman. That's what it was. That's what got me onto this. Nick bought a Sony Watchman. Wicked looking thing. And his had got a socket on it which potentially might allow you to connect something more modern to it, to use it as a display kind of screen, which got me looking, and I couldn't find one of these Watchmans that Nick had got. So then that got me looking for the one I used to have, and I bought one. This is the model I used to have. Like I say, it's completely useless as an item, it's just an ornament, and I've got it sort of standing on display by the record player. I mean, amazing to think that this was once like uber tech, and you felt like a rock star, you know, walking around school, watching TV on your 2-inch screen. How times change. But amazing to have it. But while I was looking for that, I then found this one, and I thought, as soon as I saw it, and it was cheap, you know, maybe 10, 15 quid, I thought, I've got to have it. Again, useless, but I bought another one, and as you can see, this one's, I don't know, it kind of looks like the old 35mm camera in size and shape, really. I mean, it's the same kind of 2-inch display, I think. Might be slightly bigger, not much. But it's amazing. Beautiful thing. How 1980s can you get? But this, crucially, had the socket on that I think was on Nick's as well, which takes one of these sort of phono to composite leads. And I thought, how cool would it be to like hook up a PS1 just to have it running on that? Unfortunately, it doesn't work. I mean, the TV works, but as of yet, I haven't found anything that will play on it through these. So, I don't know. I haven't tried much, to be honest, but how cool would that be? But anyway, like I said, had to buy it. Such a cool display piece. Right. Going back to what I was talking about at the start now, actually playing stuff and enjoying games more. This is dragging on, sorry, my tea's gone cold. Yeah, I think I'll just run through what I've actually been enjoying and playing. First up, we've got Dogman. I haven't shown this in the pickups yet. Fairly recent pickup, but this is the one I'm currently playing. Fantastic little game this is. I'd never personally heard of Dogman. I believe it's a cartoon. But it's another one of these, and it's in a style that really appeals to me. It's got so much charm. It's super colourful, super charming, presented really well. Kind of like, I suppose it's kind of like comic book presentation. It's a 2D platform adventure puzzle, slight Metroidvania, not really, but essentially it's a 2D puzzle platform game where you've got 3 characters under your control, each with different abilities, and to progress through the level you've got to use them all and their abilities to get through the level, and along the way you pick up new abilities to allow you to access different parts of different levels, and then, you know, as you go through the levels, there's sort of, it's like Mario style, you can collect bounds, as it is in this case, not coins, and then there's usually 4 secret items or 5 secret items within the level that you can also find for extra bonuses, and then after, I think it's 8 or 10 levels, there's like a boss level, and then obviously, you know, I think you've got 5 worlds, you know, your familiar platform setup, but it's done really, really well. My only criticism is it does feel rather slow to play. It's like you also get like a big Mario in effect. It turns you into like a superhero dogman, and his sidekicks. There's a cat, and then there's this weird like ball dude. I don't know what it is, to be honest, but he jumps higher than everything else. But yeah, it's so well done. But it does feel, it's like on Mario where you're running around without pressing the fast run, and it's like just slow run Mario, which was a bit off-putting to start with. I started off thinking, I hope one of the characters moves faster, but they don't. But that said, the more I played it, the more, or the less I should say, that bothered me, and it just felt normal after a while. And I'm about halfway through it now. Real fantastic game. I mean, it's quite simplistic. It's obviously probably intended for kids, so again, it's perfect for me. But it's such a nice game. It's just in a similar mould to Illusion Island. You know, it's just such it's charming. Charming is the word. It's a great time. I thoroughly recommend that. And I've never sort of seen it before. I just walked into a local CEX, saw it on the shelf, thought, well, that looks interesting. Looked at the back, it looked interesting. Had a Google, sounded interesting, so I bought it. Maybe we'll just throw a bit of footage in here, and you can just see a level and just to see what it looks like. But honestly, I thoroughly recommend that. I'm halfway through it, like I say. Awesome game. So those are your three characters. You've got Dogman, this weird ball dude, and the cat. And there we are. There's our big Mario in effect. We're now like superhero Dogman. You can jump on their heads, but you can't actually kill them. Like the baddies. Those are the secret items you find on each level. And you get an extra one of those secret items by collecting these bones. Everything about it's charming. The graphics are, the cutscenes. Like I say, this big guy jumps higher than everybody else. Dogman's kind of a middleman, if you like, and the cat can get in small spaces which no one else can, but then the dog can dig. So there we've got two, look. He'll restore your hearts when you get to him. And now here's your puzzle elements. And then this guy can move stuff around. So you can put stuff on. So now I'm going to have to turn into the cat to get through that small gap. So now you can see we've got a problem. So oh right, okay, there we go. So now I need to pull that over there. Right, now I probably need Dogman to swing on there. And that's the end of the level. And I missed a secret item, look. Such a good game. Right, next up, I just want to briefly mention the Plucky Squire. A magnificent game. I won't dwell on it because I think I've mentioned it before. But it is absolutely stunning, this game. And I can't recommend it highly enough. It shouldn't work, but it works magnificently. It's essentially like A Link to the Past, but it also blends in 2D platforming levels, 3D platforming levels, rhythm-based levels. There's even Punch-Out style levels, and you also sort of, it's like you're the character, you're the hero character in a book. But the book comes to life and you interact with the outside world that the book is in, and the desk it's sitting on, and you interact with the items on the desk in a 3D platforming environment. Like I say, it shouldn't work, but it's just amazingly well done. It's got an amazing amount of charm. I can't recommend this game enough. It's got something for everyone, and it's not traditionally the kind of game I would play, but that's how highly I rate it. It's awesome. Right, next up we've got Earthon. Now it's been out a while. I initially had the Switch version, but decided to sell that and buy the PS5 one, and finally got round to playing it last week. What a stunning game this is. Obviously it's coming out on the Mega Drive, and a lot of people I think are waiting for that Mega Drive port, and understandable, because it's like a Mega Drive era horizontal shmup. But I didn't want to pay the extra for the Mega Drive port, hence why I got this, and I've no regrets. I mean, obviously I still could buy the Mega Drive one, but I'm not going to. This does the job for me. The CRT filter on it is amazing, and like I say, it's an American. It's a Mega Drive era style horizontal shmup. Beautiful graphics, got some lovely effects, got a really nice soundtrack. It plays amazingly. You know, it's got some good weapons, and there's lots of choice on the weapons as well, and you know, you can choose different weapons for different levels and bosses, and you know, you've got some versatility. On a fantastic game. I'm looking forward to playing it more. It's so good, and you get a manual. Fantastic. Right, this is Earthon. Now this is a fantastic horizontal shooter in a Mega Drive style. Just looks and plays and sounds fantastic. And the CR filter the CRT filter on this PS5 version, I think is magnificent. I know there's a lot of people waiting for the actual Mega Drive port, and fair enough, I understand that, but this will do me rather than pay up for the Mega Drive one because I'm tight. This is just amazing. I've only played through it once so far, and you've got to learn how to manage your weapons to work or be best and most effective for the level you're on. You know, because there's lots of different ones to pick up, and you boost the power of your weapons by collecting these green gems. And you can upgrade and choose to get more weapon slots or increase weapon power and shield. But honestly, it's so good. It's got an amazing soundtrack as well. I think it's really good. Thoroughly recommended. If you're on the fence about getting this and you like shooters and, you know, Mega Drive era shooters more so than a modern one, this is amazing. You know, I much prefer this style to a more modern shooter. You know, I'm not in... Bullet hell isn't for me, but this is just like a proper traditional 80s style shooter. Absolutely fantastic. Can't recommend this enough. Boss incoming. As you can see, I've got two special weapons at the moment, top right. I kind of think that one's better. Well, we got him. There we go. That's the end of level 2. Magnificent game. Next up, we've got Fast and the Furious Arcade Edition. Now again, I think I might have mentioned this before, so I'm not going to dwell on it. Amazing game. Such a unexpected revelation. As I might do a video on this. But arcade racers on the PS5, you know, I thought the genre was dead. It isn't. It's a magnificent PS5 for arcade racers, as it turns out. This is another one. Again, like I think I've mentioned this before, possibly, so I'm not going to dwell on it a lot, other than to say it's another awesome arcade racer. It's fairly cheap. I think at the time I got this, it was 15 quid. I don't think it's that cheap now, but well worth having. I'll throw up a little bit of footage so you can see what it's like yourself. But this is the Fast and the Furious anyway. So this is Fast and Furious, the arcade game on the PS5. This has been such a surprise. Fantastic game. pure and simple arcade fun, over the top crazy. Absolutely bonkers, but so much fun. If you like arcade races, you definitely want to give this a go. Much in the mould of Cruising Blast on the Switch again, which is another fantastic game. But just looks absolutely stunning in my opinion. And there we go. Amazing. Right, last up, we've got Old School Rally. I've just finished playing this last week. And I've got to say, this has been a real revelation. I played the demo whenever it got released a few months ago, and I really wasn't keen. I didn't think it played well at all. And that put me off buying the game, and I didn't buy the game to start with. And I think it got reduced slightly to around 25 quid, and I pulled the trigger and I decided to buy it. I'm so glad I did. This is fantastic. I'm not sure if the controls are better than the demo, or it's just the fact I got used to them, but it's amazing. It's a proper old school rally game, like Colin McRae Rally on the PS1. It's very much like that, and it's made in that style as well. It's not made to look like a PS5 game. It does look better than a PS1 game, I would say. It's kind of PS1 to 2 kind of look to it, but it fundamentally plays just like a simplistic rally game from the PS1 era, much like, as I say, the original Colin McRae game, and I suppose Sega Rally as well. But don't get me wrong, it's not as good as Sega Rally. What is? But that said, it is very, very good, and I thoroughly enjoyed all the time I spent with it. You start off, you know, there's various different championships and classes of racing. You've got like your standard rally, then you've got your more vintage rally, and then you've got like your Group B, like uber fast rally cars, and then you've got like an open section, and you earn credits and bonus cars through winning rallies, and then you can buy other cars. You know, there's 32 cars altogether. I've not got them all. I think there's still around 8 or 9 to get. But there's a lot of grinding involved, because to get them you've got to pay for them, and to pay for them you've got to win rallies, which I've already won. So, you know, I might do it in time, but, you know, I want to play other stuff. There's quite a few courses. There's not like loads and loads. There's probably around... There's 2 to 3 courses in each country that's featured, and I think there's around 8 countries perhaps. So, you know, there's probably 20-25 tracks overall. Some tracks, they're all good. The China tracks are the difficulty on them is much harder than all the others. They're basically all sharp turns, constant. There's no straights on the China tracks. But that said, it's, you know, it's when you nail it and you get it right, it's really, you know, it does feel good. But it's a rally game, so it's all time based. You are rarely racing other vehicles on the same road. It's purely you against the clock, and some of the time limits, you know, you can be way under, and then you'll get one which you think, oh, that's tight, and you have to have 3 or 4 attempts at doing it. But eventually, like I say, with practice you do it. And again, there's lots of cars to open up, as I say, and they do differ. Some are much harder to drive than others. I personally find the T16, they're not official cars, but you can tell what they are. The 205 T16, personally, it was my favourite car. Also, the Alpine is quite good as well. And I did like the Sierra Cozza as well. But, I mean, they're all generally good. And you can open up a couple of crazy, like, weird cars. You know, there's like a tractor, there's a taxi cab, a hearse, and some other crazy, is it a bus or something? You know, weird, mad cars. I've only paid for the taxi so far. But yeah, I thoroughly recommend this. It was totally unexpected. I thought it was going to be rubbish. It's way better than the demo. I absolutely loved it. That's Old School Rally. And we'll end with a bit of footage of that. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of any of that madness, and we'll see you on the next one. Right, this is Old School Rally.
Easy right. Right, left, chicane.
This is yet another amazing game on the PS5.
Right, left, chicane.
Total revelation.
Easy right. Checkpoint. Medium left.
I wasn't expecting to like this. I didn't buy it to start with because I really wasn't sure about it. I'm so glad I did.
Easy right. Medium left. Left, right, chicane.
It's the kind of game anybody can pick up and play.
Easy left. Easy right. Hairpin right.
They traditionally don't make games like this anymore. This is like going back
Medium left.
25 years, 30 years.
Easy right. Hairpin left. Checkpoint. Medium right.
There's lots of...
Easy left.
It's much like you'd expect it. There's lots of stuff to unlock and open up. There's lots of cars you can get,
Easy right.
spanning ages and all genres. A cracking game.